It is one of the most underrated and one of the most intense rivalries in college basketball. And today here in frigid Providence, two hated in-state rivals write the latest chapter in their long-running duel. As we welcome you to TNT Sports coverage of the Big East Conference. And we got a good one for you today. Here in Providence, Friars, Rams, little brother A10, big brother Big East. And they are ready to get it on here on True TV. And with that, we say welcome courtside here in Providence alongside Greg Anthony. I'm Spiro Ditas. We will hear from our resident Rhode Islander in just a couple of minutes, Andy Katz, with his thoughts on this game. This is all you can ask for, college hoops. If you don't live in this part of the country, you don't appreciate how intense this rivalry is.
Spiro, you hit it right on the head. The fact that this rivalry matches any when you talk about intensity, and this is a really important game for both teams as they start to try to improve their resume moving forward.
As is the landscape in the sport, both of these teams kind of tore down their rosters. It will start with Providence, that one of the headliners has been Jalen Sellers, the graduate player who's been one of their most important players so far.
Most important and best all around. He's a guy that can be a tone setter for a team struggling defensively. His three-point shot has really coming off arguably his best game of the season. But they're going to go up against a Rams team that they like to get after it defensively. And that's going to be led by a young man by the name of Tyler Cochran. He's their all-around best player, second in scoring, leads them in rebounding, leads the nation in steals. And talking with Coach Archie Miller before, he said, listen, we have to affect the game defensively, high level of activity. If we're getting deflections and steals, we have a great chance to pull off the upset.
It is one of the oldest, most experienced teams in the country. Talking about Rhode Island, a lot of experience. We'll get to all of their guys as the day goes on. We mentioned Cochran, Jonah Hinton off to a terrific start. And meantime, you see Stephen Vox for Providence. He's been their best three-point shooter. One lineup note for the Friars and Kim English. Jason Edwards, their number one scorer, is going to come off the bench, GA, for a third straight game, bolstering that second unit. And Kim English, talking with him before the game, likes the change so far. Doesn't know how long he'll stick with it, but that's the lineup for right now.
Yeah, listen, ultimately, they, meaning Providence, has got to figure out a way to impact the game defensively. Offense has not been an issue for them, but their inability to disrupt rhythm and flow for the opponent has really been their Achilles heel.
It is a rivalry that goes back to 1920, just incredible. Rams won at the Riot Center last season. They ended a four-game losing streak to Providence, but they haven't won in this building in 20 years. Is this the day that the Rams finally get one here in Providence? Shot clock down to 3. This is Vox. He can stroke it. Excellent defensive sequence to start by Rhode Island, but the offensive rebound, the putback, and Erunse unable to finish. He is one of the most talented offensive rebounders, certainly in the Big East.
Yeah, and that's a concern for Rhode Island. They do not defend the basketball well in terms of finishing it with rebounding. And you can see Kim English there, and he was very, very forward with us in talking about the struggles they've had from a defensive standpoint and some of the adjustments he's had to make in order to try to right the ship on that end. And you saw that first possession from Rhode Island. Terrific defensively. They just couldn't finish it with the defensive rebound. Fortunate, though, they were able to get a contest and corral that second.
Into the hands of Hinton, averaging nearly 16 per game. Deep shot to get Rhode Island our first points.
And there was a time, Spiro, where that was considered a bad shot. But when you can let it fly the way Hinton can, who is really starting to find his rhythm here for Rhode Island.
Number 8 scorer in the Atlantic 10 is Hinton, Chicago native. There's a curling floater, nicely done. That's Ryan Mila, Massachusetts kid, sophomore, averaging better than 9 points per game.
And I tell you, as Mila and Vox improve, I think that's where Providence has a chance to really take it to another level. Those are two guys, they're two young studs coming out, and I tell you what, how about this start here as Crawford able to knock down that triple from Rhode Island.
Alex Crawford, Chula Vista, California native, redshirt senior for Archie Miller. And so a good offensive start for Rhode Island. They beat Brown on Tuesday, their third straight win. They're 6th in their last 7 games as URI comes to town today with a 7-2 record. Erunse trying to find his man cutting backdoor. Mila unable to squeeze it initially. 5 to shoot. Mila backs away, has to work quickly into the paint, poked away. Excellent defense by Rhode Island.
And that possession we just saw, that was on Mila. Mila should have stayed spaced in that corner. You see this step back triple by Hinton. That is an NBA-esque three there. And then Crawford not to be outdone. What a terrific start. Anytime you're on the road and you can make a couple threes early, especially in the half court, that just tends to settle the nerves and takes a little bit of that venom out of the opposing crowd.
How well can Rhode Island control the pace? Providence, the #2 scoring team in the Big East, GA, better than 90 points per game. But there's so far good pace for the Rams here as they look to build on their lead. Nice defensive play. Mila into the waiting arms of Corey, spinning, misses in tight. The tip won't go as Tishere had a chance in tight. There's a corner three, a little bit short that time from Corey Floyd Jr. And once again, the Friars come up empty. Boy, beautiful spin in the paint. Cochran, the kick straight away. Hinton, that's a three. Jonah Hinton, red hot at the start. 7-point lead, then the steal. Tyler Cochran turned back, and it's going to be Rams basketball, but URI making an early statement.
Well, they got a lot of experience, do the Rams, and you saw on that possession there with Cochran just anticipating that Providence wants to get the ball in quick and advance it up the court, and comes up with the steal. You see Archie Miller has been in some of the best basketball venues. You think about Dayton, Indiana, and here at Rhode Island. And he said he really likes this group. He likes where they're going. They're trending in the right direction.
Look at the Rams crash the offensive glass. Not only doing it from 3, Miles Corey on a putback. 8 unanswered by the Rams. And this hometown crowd not liking what they're seeing so far from the Friars, already in a 9-point hole.
Yeah, and a lot of it is what they have not done defensively. It's been really the issue all season long. Kim Issue has not run from that, but they've got to figure out a way to change their identity. This is a team right now that has not made defense a priority, and you see it hurting them here at the start of this one.
Not sure anyone expected this start from the Rams in terms of their three-point shooting. 3 of 3 so far in the early stages from deep.
Yeah, and listen, under 30% on the season, but they've got guys that can shoot the three, and the question is going to be, do we generate high-quality threes? And you saw those last two, all off the catch, all in rhythm, all with space. And those are the types of shots that you will shoot at a higher percentage. Can you generate those consistently on the road? And the way Providence has started, if you're Rhode Island, you got to feel great.
Rhode Island, a team that boasts 3 of the top 25 scorers in the Atlantic 10. So to your point, they've got guys who are really gifted offensively, with guys like Trip Cochran and Hinton. Already seeing some of what they can do offensively. But now the question, can the Friars get their offense going? And Kim English wasted no time. Jason Edwards, their #1 scorer, GA, better than 19 per game, quickly inserted. Here comes Vox curling, tough pass. And out of the timeout, it's a Providence turnover, their 3rd.
And that's just right there. You got to be just a little more patient and understand your personnel, who you're playing with. You've got to give the big fella an opportunity to get all the way to the rim before you make that pass. And that one's just a little quick in terms of the delivery.
Providence has played a really tough schedule to this point. 5 of their 9 games against power conference teams as they come up with a steal. Here comes Floyd, turn back. Interior defense by Tishere. Incredible recovery, and then at the other end it's a 3, won't go from Hinton. And the Rams 1 and done. Now the pace starts to quicken. Here comes Vox. Outside Edwards, a 3, short. And Providence stone cold at the start. They're 1 of 6. They've missed all 3 from deep. Cochran, transition 3, and he bangs it down.
And even though Rhode Island is a team that, if you look at their stats, they don't necessarily play fast, but they are very opportunistic when it comes to scoring the basketball if you are not back defensively.
11 unanswered points by Rhode Island, and any notion that they were going to come in here intimidated by this environment, they have quickly put those questions to bed here at the start. 7 to shoot. Here comes Floyd Jr. Outside Vox, catch and shoot 3, splash.
that was some really good offense there. Nice, strong drive. And then I love the way that Vox relocated. Gave him an outlet there and able to knock down the triple.
Vox, the freshman, boy, doesn't play like a first-year kid. New country, born and raised in Estonia. What a piece he's been for Kim English. That three won't go that time from Hinton. And the rebound tracked down underneath by Sellers. So a 9-point Providence deficit. Vox, that's a three. He can light up in a blink. Aaron pass into the corner. Boy, somehow saved by Cochran. Curling dribble, Crawford, the spin, the floater, too much. Providence looking to push. This is Sellers. Vox, boy, doesn't need much airspace. That's good.
And we talked about the importance of Vox, and I feel like, Mila, those are two guys that as Providence starts to understand who our best players are, I think they're going to rise in terms of their impact on the game, because Vox is a stone-cold killer.
So how does Rhode Island now handle this atmosphere that they knew was going to be a factor in this game? Better than 14,000 standing room only here in Providence. There's a turnover. IT Sheree coughs it up. Edwards. Vox. He has changed the game in the last 60 seconds.
And so has Providence defense, right? It's been their defense that has ramped up. They're getting deflections, they're getting steals, they're getting in transition. We talked about the freshman Vox. He's got a boatload of confidence to go with a heck of a lot of talent.
And welcome back inside the AMP. We're all tied up at 14-all at arguably one of the best rivalries in all of men's college basketball. Hey, look, it's the smallest state, so it doesn't get all the hype it needs to. URI Providence, URI south of where we are, South County, by far. It is the blue area of the state, north of TF Green. That's where you get Providence. And I can tell you, two of the nastiest feelings between the two fan bases. Talking to Archie Miller, who, by the way, he coached in Indiana Purdue, he coached in Dayton Xavier, he played in NC State UNC. He told me this is a nasty one, and if it were up to the Providence administration, they would not go down to Kingston. They want no part of that. In fact, prior to when the Ryan Center was built in 03, they didn't have to. All the games are up here. Now it's a home and home every other year. It is a much bigger deal for URI. We saw that at the beginning of the game. They were more into it. They're more in your grill. For Providence, just takes the players a little bit longer to get going, and now they realize this is a big-time rivalry game. If you lose this as the Providence coach, it's a big deal. For URI, not as much. It's going to be intense the rest of the way.
Andy, you live in Newport, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
No truth to the rumor that you're secretly rooting for Rhode Island today?
I am a state taxpayer. It is a state university, but I am impartial. Although, for the record, I wasn't thinking when I got dressed this morning, because
that's why I asked.
I am in blue. I've already gotten a lot of flack because I am in URI blue. Not on purpose, though.
We just want to make
not
sure
on
that
purpose.
We're not going to have to get you a security detail.
Well, we might. I don't have a black suit, okay? But yes, I'm in the blue. I didn't mean to, but I am.
Just be careful, Andy. Good start for Rhode Island as they get some free throws here with IT Sheree. GA, what have you seen so far?
Well, it's been the three-point shot, right? That's been the difference. Both teams shooting at a really high clip, and both have also delivered a haymaker, right? Rhode Island set the tone early. You like the response from Providence. Now it feels like both teams are going to kind of settle in. They felt what each is capable of. Let's see which team, from a defensive standpoint, can create the best momentum the next 4 minutes.
Pateris Pinnis, a freshman from Latvia, has checked into the game first time for Kim English. Also Jameer Jones, as now both coaches now start to go into their bench. Shot clock at 10. Vox is the defensive adjustment against Vox, who's had the hot hand. Edwards into the corner, tough catch. Sellers, one to shoot, and it's a turnover. And another excellent defensive sequence by Rhode Island.
And, you know, sometimes with defense, what you're looking at is how can you impact passing and spacing. And you saw an example there where none of the passes that Providence threw were on target. And that's because of defensive ball pressure and a commitment to not allow guys to play in rhythm. Really terrific job on that possession defensively by Rhode Island.
Teresa Traore has checked into the game. R.J. Johnson in as well for Archie Miller. So if you've just hopped on with us, the Rams jumped out to a 14-2 start. And then Vox started to get hot. 4 straight threes, and that spurred a 12-1 run for Kim English's Friars. We got a 1-point game here with 12 and change left in the first half.
And then the 2 subsequent possessions out of the timeout, we've seen basically turnovers forced by the defense.
Sellers showing his stroke. Again, better than 15 per game. Number 2 scorer on the team behind Edwards. First lead for the Friars.
Yeah, and Sellers coming off his best 3-point shooting game. They're going to get a foul there on Edwards. He knocked down 5 in his last outing and picks up right where he left off. And again, defensively, which team sets the tone? Sellers has been their all go-to guy. He does it all offensively, defensively, showing you a little bit of range here with the splash.
Cheer on your favorite Big East teams with officially licensed fan gear. For the best selection of team apparel and accessories, head to shopncaasports.com. This place as electric as we expected it to be. Slow shooting start for Providence. They fell in a 14-2 hole, but they have cranked up the defense. Stefan Vox has already tied his season/career high GA with 4 threes, just completely changed the complexion of the game.
It really has. And again, I go back to it. The 3-point shooting's been terrific, but it's almost the last 4 minutes they've been able to hold Rhode Island without a field goal. So market improvement defensively here by the Friars.
Duncan Powell, the graduate transfer for Providence, has checked into the game, which is a big deal for them. He's been out since November 14th, dealing with that concussion. See him wearing a face mask. He took that vicious shot in his mouth in a practice. So he is back in the mix today. And here he is, straight away 3. A little bit too much. Fight for the rebound underneath, and it's going to be last touched by the Friars.
So it seems like both teams, Spiro, kind of settling down defensively. The game is starting to slow down, which works to Rhode Island's favor. If you're Providence, you want to continue to stay active, see if you can get some deflections, force some tough shots, and get out in transition.
Rhode Island has not hit a field goal in nearly 5 minutes. What do they turn to for offense right here? This is R.J. Johnson, bounces into the corner. Jameer Tripp to the basket. And he's going to get himself to the free throw line as we check in with Andy.
Yeah, one of the more important things about Powell was his experience in the ACC. Played for Georgia Tech, had 27 against Duke, and really Kim English was looking with a grad transfer to fill a leadership void, a player that had played at a high level against high-level competition. So with his absence over the last month, that definitely hurt not just the depth up front, but that experience on the court.
You know, first year in the program, Andy, he was a big-time scorer for stretches last year on that Georgia Tech team. 20 or more points in 7 of the final 15 games of the season, so certainly a piece that they're relying on. And GA, it's a Providence team that was expected to do really well. Picked to finish 4th in the preseason poll. Make of that what you will with all the changing landscape. You know, people seem to put a little less stock in the preseason polls, but no doubt this is a team that has talent and high expectations.
That's a great point, Spiro. And listen, the reality, and anytime you bring in that many new players, the pieces individually may be great, but it's about the fit and how do they work with one another? How are they going to handle adversity? As a coach, you have no clue because you have no history. And so this early part of the season is going to determine which guys are going to work and which guys are going to have the opportunity to help them be successful. Oh, my goodness.
Beautiful spin and stop. It's Jones.
Woo! I did not see that one coming from Jameer Jones there on the attack.
Consensus 4-star recruit, top 50 in the country out of Sarasota, Florida. And he was coming with some serious heat. Up the floor comes Sellers in a flash to the cup. And he's going to get himself to the free throw line. As Providence, you can see them starting to slowly put their imprint on this game with the defense and pushing them into the transition game.
Tell you what, that is some serious athleticism there, and even through contact, able to convert.
It was interesting. We talked to Kim English outside the locker room before the game, and he touched on how much he was influenced watching the NBA playoffs last year, the pace with which teams are playing at the next level, and how that's impacted how he's wanted this team to play here, specifically what the Indiana Pacers did, Greg. It was interesting.
Yeah, and listen, they were terrific. You think of Tyrese Halliburton and how they played, but the one thing about that is the Pacers play fast because they pass it fast. Like you can never outrun the basketball, and that's something that you've got to understand. But conversely, the Pacers also defend well. They do a great job point of attack. They don't allow you then to run back, and that's been the biggest challenge for Coach English, is getting his guys to understand that while we play fast on offense, we don't want to make it a track meet, because then we don't have a chance to load defensively and impact the opponent's offense.
Here's a pull-up jumper by Quarry, showing that beautiful mid-range J. Andy, what do you got?
Well, I was at practice yesterday in Kingston, and Archie was telling me they do not want to get into a track meet with Providence. If they can get deflections and those kind of, defense to offense, that's much better for them. But they only average 77 points a game. They cannot score in the 90s, which is what Providence averages. So they have to be much more conscious of manufacturing points, is what Archie was telling me. They do not want to get quick shooting and get sucked into the way Providence wants to play.
Right now they got to worry about their three-point defense, Andy, as Providence now 6 of 10 from the three-point line. Cochran the turnover. Edwards tripped up trying to split with the dribble. And so right now URI GA playing on its heels as they are in a 5-point hole, 9 and change left in this first half. But this is what we were talking about, the pace and everything that Kim English is trying to accomplish. A 37-year-old coach here in his third season.
Yeah, and listen, the pace, and you see in that graphic, it looks great. The problem is the opponent points. And Coach English said something. He said, one of the other concerns was you have to be in such an elite level of conditioning to not only play fast offensively, but then to have the wherewithal to get back defensively. Well, that's a tough shot there by Boggs.
Offensive rebound, Jones. Rhode Island unable to save it in front of their bench. Archie Miller is red hot. All kinds of contact, guys tossing their bodies all over the gym. Archie Miller, the picture of intensity. 47-year-old head coach, 4th year in Kingston. Of course, made his bones in the A-10, back in the conference, those 6 years with Dayton, 4 straight trips to the dance. Had a memorable run to the Elite 8 in 2014. Coach of the year in the conference in 2017 before eventually moving on. But this is a big game for them. This would be the signature win, GA, that this program has been looking for. Remember, they beat the Friars at home last year, ended that 4-game slide against this Providence team. Can they get this one here? Powell from deep. So he's missed his first 2 long-range jumpers.
However, though, Providence starting to have that impact on the offensive glass here, which is a huge concern for Rhode Island.
Boy, beautiful dime. Jones to Arunse. Boy, Jameer Jones has come in and put his imprint on this game quickly off the bench. There's a pull-up 3, Cochran, and Jones tracks it down.
And the thing about Jones, he has functional athleticism. He puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the rim, and just running the floor, being active, being athletic. Right now, Rhode Island, no answer for Jones and the Friars.
It's an 11-2 spurt by the Friars. And Jameer Jones starting to flex. Score, playmaker, finisher.
Welcome back here at Providence, and it's really been about the size and the athleticism of Providence. They have had a tremendous impact on the paint, and Rhode Island right now just does not have the horses to contain them. It's great to shoot the three, but ultimately the team that controls the paint will probably control the outcome of this game.
Well, as Andy alluded to, the pressure on Providence. You lose a game like this, especially in this building, it's a very big deal in this city. Jameer Jones giving them the shot in the arm that Kim English was looking for. GA off the bench. You see what he's done in just 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, that and Sparrow also, you know, in this era of the grad transfer and NIL, one of the best ways to grow over the course of a season is the growth of your freshmen. So think about the impact that Jones and Box have had here. Their best basketball is ahead of them, and so as they continue to prosper and grow and get more confident and the team develops more trust in them, that's where Providence, I think, has tremendous upside moving forward.
Oswin Erunse enters the day leading the country in blocks, 5th in the Big East in terms of rebounds, but he is one of the most talented interior players in the Big East.
And no question about it. And the reality is, as the game slows, his impact grows because you're now incorporating him more. When you play really fast, it makes your bigs smaller because they don't get a chance to impose that size on the game. And so, whoa, that's not a little off target there. Right idea on that pass, but not the delivery that they were looking for from Corey Floyd Jr.
It's a big year for Kim English. The pressure to get this program to the next level. Hired in 2023. Remember, he got 21 wins that first season here in Providence. First Friars coach to win 20 games ever in his debut season. So he set the bar very high. And so last year, injury-riddled season, frustrating program record, 20 losses last year. How quickly can this team turn the page? Sellers off the takeaway.
I'll tell you think about Providence. They have had some Hall of Fame caliber coaches. Rick Barnes, Rick Pitino, guys have come in and put their imprint on this program. And you can tell like here, 12 o'clock start. This place is electric.
Damon King buries a three.
And boy, did Rhode Island need to see the ball go through the basket. Providence's defense has been much improved here the last 7 or 8 minutes of this game.
Rhode Island, Greg, had 3 straight turnovers before that, made 3. As the officials are going to get Jameer tripped on a body bump here. That'll be his first. But Damon King showing that outside touch. Redshirt freshman out of Louisville, Kentucky.
And they're going to need some X factors, if you will, if you're Rhode Island. They got to figure out a way to compete on the defensive backboard. They're going to be undersized. That's going to be a challenge for them. And then can they generate enough offense against this, what looks to be a much improved defensive effort from Providence?
See what Rhode Island did last game against Brown. Their struggles from 3, so a much better shooting display, at least so far. This is Mila. A little bit too much from deep, and it's last touched by Erunse and belongs to the Rams. So 6-point Providence lead with 6 and change to play in this first half. Chess match between these two coaches continues. English and Miller. And this in-state rivalry, the Ocean State rivalry as they call it. Cochran on the wing. This is Crawford. Outside to Corey. 10 on the timer. Corey trying to create his own shot. Good touch, boy. Yeah, the official's going to say goaltend, basket interference.
That was close, and I don't mind the effort there by Erunse just to go for it. You want your big to play with that kind of energy and activity. That was, I thought it was close, but I couldn't tell from our angle. Yeah, that's an easy, good call there by the officials. And a big break for Rhode Island as they are trying to creep back into this thing.
Good veteran crew here. Lamar Simpson, Greg Evans, Tim Clockerty, our officials. Edwards nearly got caught. This is Mila chiseling his way inside, left it short. And good defensive rebounding by Rhode Island. There's going to be an open early offense 3. That's Crawford from deep. And the Rhode Island 3-point shooting continues.
It has been an X factor for them, no question about it. Team struggled all season. Folks, they're shooting under 30% from three on the season. Already 7, I think, they've knocked down here in the first half.
And Crawford himself, 28% from deep on the season, as the Rams have hit 8 straight points. Shot clock at 6, takeaway. Officials will get Mila on a regen as Providence has seen its offense now hit a wall. Let's check in with Andy.
So what you just saw right there is exactly what Archie Miller wanted when he put this roster together. He wanted players that think toward disruption, deflections, being aggressive defensively. You both know this. You have to know what you can get, who you are. They can't get the 5-star, the big-time player. So he went after players who are fast, who are defensive-oriented, and are looking to play this style. Know who you are and fill the roster that way. That's what Archie Miller tried to do.
Yeah, speed, defense, and also high character guys. He said this was the most deliberate that he and his staff were during the recruiting process. As we get a whistle here, loose ball foul against Crawford. He says it's the most enjoyable spring and summer recruiting cycle that I've ever had as a coach in this new kind of NIL portal world, and you're already seeing the after effects of what they've put together.
Yeah, and to Andy's point, you know, the golden rule in coaching, you never want to ask a player to do something they're not comfortable doing, right? You know, I'm not going to go ask a guy that's not a good defender to become my best defender. And I think that's what he's tried to do. Let's find guys that are good at what we need them to do. They're going to get a travel there against Providence. Was that? No, that was
Pinnis.
Pateris, right?
Pateris Pinnis. You speak Latvian?
I do not. Although I'd like to go to Latvia.
Pinnis, big part of their bench unit here for Kim English. So we got a 1-point game. Boy, this thing has been crazy. Rhode Island jumped out to a 14-2 lead. Then the big run by the Friars. Turnover numbers starting to pile up as we got a 1-point game here in Providence. Trying to feed the post. Who touched it last? It belongs to the Friars.
And how about Pinnis there defensively on the post? Deny, gets the deflection and forces the turnover. And that's the kind of effort, if you're Kim English, you're looking for, right? In defense, you got to be able to make multiple efforts. It's not enough to make that initial thrust. You got to sustain it, and that's been an issue. It only takes one mistake for an entire possession to be broken down.
So each team has committed 7 first-half turnovers, and we still have 4 minutes left. Sellers tracks it down. The number 2 score on the attack, and the finish. A thing of beauty from Sellers.
That's a beautiful play. Getting downhill, but under control with the finish.
This is Traore underneath. Body bumping, and a chance at 3.
And I like that play for Traore. The last possession, they try to throw him a post up. That's not really his game. You want to get him on the move downhill where he can gather and attack. And Sellers here, little hesitation, up and under for the finish. And Traore is also right back at you. Drew Peters able to get the score. We got a 1-point game.
Giving what a scene this has been here in Providence, Rhode Island. Spiro Ditas, Greg Anthony, and our resident Rhode Islander, Andy Katz, giving us all the inside information on this incredible, underrated basketball rivalry in the sport. And we're seeing it up close and personal, GA, for the first time. This has been fun.
Yeah,
we play now with under 4 minutes left in the half.
Nothing better than rivalry games, right? Because of the intensity. Records you can throw out the window because both teams understand, and that's kind of hard in this case, right? With so many new faces, oftentimes you may not get an appreciation for the rivalry, but both coaches talked about their emphasis on this game, and I think the guys have bought in because it has been intense out there.
I love what Andy said. You know, Providence kind of north of the airport. If you're south of the airport, it's URI territory, and if you're Providence, you don't go south, and vice versa. I kind of like old school. You don't go in your rival's old neighborhood. But Archie Miller weighing in As we get a whistle here on the perimeter, Edwards dribbling on the outside. Archie said, look, I've experienced those rivalries that you've mentioned, you know, Dayton, Xavier, all that stuff, even NC State, UNC when he was a collegiate player. He said this is the nastiest rivalry that he's experienced. That's saying something coming from Archie Miller.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just trying to figure out, is Andy a Southie or, like, we got to figure that out.
Andy Katz?
Yeah.
Andy, would you like to weigh in?
He's a resident, so.
I'm neutral. Yeah, no, originally from Boston, yes.
Okay.
But I'm neutral. But I am getting a lot of flack, as I said earlier, that I am wearing URI blue. But I do love blue. I don't wear black.
Andy is still okay, still with us. Good-looking stroke, Hinton. Gia, you started the show talking about his offensive prowess, how good he's been. 8th leading scorer in the A-10. And boy, do they need a monster game from him. It's going to be a Providence turnover as Jameer Jones just lost his place in front of that Rhode Island bench.
And a lot of times when you look at a team, and people will look at just their numbers, no, you look at how the teams function. When Hinton's getting shots, he's already gotten up 6 threes. That tells you that Rhode Island is executing well. The only issue, though, he's got 4 turnovers, and he's not a guy that's going to handle it a ton. So he's got to be a little more sure and take better care of the basketball. And there's his 5th turnover.
Bucks the steal. Boy, where would the Friars be in this game without Vox? Those 4 threes early after they had fallen in an early 12-point hole.
And now 12-2 points off turnovers. Plus 10 is Providence in a tie game.
Boy, coming around his screen. Excellent movement from Miles Corey off ball. And Rhode Island has refound their offensive groove. So a 13-2 run by the Rams a minute ago to restore order. Sellers bangs in a 3.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was a big-time play by Vox. First time I've seen him handle the trap on that pick and roll and be able to deliver a scoring pass with the cross-court overhanded throw.
Sellers had 21 in their win against FDU a couple of days ago. Had a good start here. Mid-range J won't go that time from King. As we come up on the final 2 minutes of the half. Here comes Jones chiseling his way to the cup. And he's going to get himself to the free throw line. The officials will get Alex Crawford. That'll be his 2nd. So 2:10 left. Jones to the free throw line with a chance to push this thing to 3. The NHL on TNT returns doubleheader Tuesday. Golden Knights Islanders starting at 7, and then Avalanche Predators. And a couple of good ones on Wednesday. Rangers Blackhawks and Kings Kraken. Our coverage begins at 7 Eastern on TNT, True TV, and HBO Max. Andy?
Here's an NCAA rule change that I think a lot of coaches and players love. Players like Vox, they played professionally in Europe, and now they can play in the NCAA. That was not the case in the past. We're seeing a lot of pros in Europe playing here in the NCAA. Great rule change.
And Andy, it's just added to the richness in terms of the talent level in college basketball. Vox! That's the old heat check. Arunse, offensive rebound. Vox won't miss many back-to-back. He is red hot.
And that's the most dangerous 3 off the offensive rebound, because you're going to be cross-matched. You're not going to be able to have bodies on bodies, and Vox able to make them pay.
And the freshman, a new career high, his 5th 3 already as Tripp answers for the Rams.
Spiro, you think about basketball is about possessions. How can we win the possession battle? And that 3-point shot is one of the great equalizers, and that's really been the case here for Rhode Island. It's allowed them to stay in this game, even though they've struggled with points off turnovers and now starting to have some concern with controlling that defensive backboard.
We hit the final 60 seconds into the corner. Catch and shoot Floyd. That's good. Boy, Providence has been streaky in this first half. Number 2 scoring team in the Big East. They got a 4-point lead. Down to 40 seconds. First half. Into the corner. Open look at a 3. Too much Corey. Friars looking to push. Powell's going to get him reset to Floyd. About a 1-second difference, shot to game clock as they get the play call from Tim English.
And one of the other aspects of what's happened for Providence when they went to Edwards on the bench, it's allowed for Vox to have more playmaking responsibility, and I think they're starting to thrive with him in that role.
Rams are out of fouls. Tripp extends. Vox 1 second. He will fire, and it looked like it just never came off cleanly. So a shot
Might have been some contact.
violation. I thought it may have been deflected, and the officials will indeed go to the replay monitor. You also had a shot clock violation situation, so a lot here, many factors to this. As both teams going to the locker room, a frantic finish to the half. We'll see how the officials handle this here with both teams now coming off. Providence is going to take a 4-point lead into the halftime locker room in a game that has been intense. AT&T at the half is next. Lefko, Jalen Rose, Bruce Pearl, and Chris Webber in our studios next on True TV.
We go big. Everywhere we go, you know we go big. Big time vibes for the big time moments. I make big time shots. Everywhere we go, you know we go big.
The Ocean State rivalry that goes back over a century, one of the richest, most intense rivalries in the sport. As we sit in for the final 20, our game summary, 20 minutes complete, with Providence erasing that early 12-point hold. They got a 4-point lead as we begin the second half. Spiro, GA, we'll hear from Andy in just a couple of minutes. First half observations, and what are you looking for here in the second half?
Well, Stephen Vox was the show, right? That guy shot it amazingly well, played terrifically also. But the reality is this: if you're Rhode Island, take care of the basketball. You're minus 10 points off turnovers. That has been the difference in the game because of how well you were able to shoot the three. And you also did a decent job of keeping Providence from dominating the offensive glass.
Andy, I understand you spoke to one or both coaches.
Yeah, I had a chance to speak with both of them, and I just talked to Archie walking on the court, and the stat that he really circled in at the locker room was the points off turnovers. Providence 12-2. They got to do a much better job of obviously taking care of the basketball defensively, certainly on the three-point line. They got to find Vox. Conversely, for Kim English, it was the three-point shooting of Rhode Island that caught them off guard at the beginning of this game. I think you're going to see both teams, and we're already seeing it here in the first few seconds, be a little bit more intense defensively right out of the gate.
Early turnover, and then they ripped it back as Miles Corey wasting no time. So he's going to get himself to the free throw line. And just to give the fans at home some historical perspective, this is a Providence team that has dominated the head-to-head. They're the big brother, Big East. We heard Andy at the top, the A-10 little brother in Rhode Island. They have not won in this building, the Rams, in 20 years. And what a massive win this would be for Archie Miller's Rams, and a signature win for the program in what is Archie's 4th year in Kingston.
And for the conference, right? You talked about big brother, little brother. If you're the Atlantic 10, if you can get the win on the road against a Big East opponent, that's going to bode well as this season progresses. And Rhode Island's also going to have to figure out a way to control Vox. He has been terrific. Not just the shooting, but his facilitating. Not always getting the assist, but creating an opportunity for the assist.
I said 20 years. It's been 23 years since their last win. 2002, the last time they won in the city. Is this the day that they finally end that streak? Arunse, beautiful dime underneath, and that's going to get Nila to the free throw line.
I tell you, Arunse has been terrific. Not just the shot blocking, rebounding, but his decision making when he's caught it, understanding the spacing. That was a terrific find there on that interior pass.
Third personal against Alex Crawford. And so Ryan Nila, Massachusetts, out of the Newman School. He's a sophomore, averaging better than 9 points per game as he builds on the Friars' lead. The world's elite soccer clubs compete for the crown as World Sevens continues tomorrow. TNT, True TV, and HBO Max. Providence Friars, we told you at the top, 5-4 coming in. They've had a really tough non-conference by design. Look at some of the teams that they've played. Their losses: Virginia Tech, Colorado, Wisconsin in a 20-point blowout, and a tough one against Florida. Trying to get one here to get their season back on track. Another Rhode Island turnover. Mila, errant pass actually hit the rim, trying to get it to Arunse, and both teams sloppy.
And if you're Rhode Island, Coach Miller, you got to figure out a way to get Hinton to take a little bit better care of the ball. That is another live ball turnover on the last possession, then another turnover here. And turnovers aren't all created equal. The live ball turnovers have been really hurting Rhode Island. That one being a dead ball at least gives them a chance to set their defense.
Think Archie's Rhode Island Rams last year, 18 wins. Most for Miller since taking over the program. Can they take that next step? And what would be just a gigantic win here. Dribble drive, tough move to the rack by Floyd. And that ends a little mini drought. Open look at a three. Hinton, boy, started hot. First year in the program, and what an addition he's been. He's got a dozen three-point games.
Yeah, no question with his ability to shoot the basketball. He's just got to be a little more solid taking care of it. You cannot have 5 turnovers at that off-guard position.
Hinton playing for his 4th different school, staying in the conference, coming over from St. Bonaventure. And he has become one of the elite scorers early part of the season in the A-10 so far. Last touch here by the Rams as Jameer Tripp will come in. Crawford sits, just picked up his 3rd personal. And you look at what Hinton has done so far in this game.
He has shot it well. And I tell you, the three-point shot, I don't think anybody saw Rhode Island putting up these kinds of numbers from 3.
Fox on a 3, heady play on the tap by Ice to Shire. And then Sellers on a broken play is going to earn a couple of free throws. But it's just what Arunse does. Mentioned his shot blocking prowess. GA just alluded to his rebounding, just the big body. And that's going to earn a trip to the free throw line for the Friars as we check in again with Andy.
You know, another new rule, if you will, a new way to approach transferring. It used to be for years, and I know Greg remembers this, that you couldn't transfer within your own league. Sometimes there'd be a penalty. You sometimes have to sit out maybe even an extra year. The Big Ten used to have something like that. Here's a player that Archie Miller and their staff knew well, competed against them last year at St. Bonaventure. Conversely, Hinton knew Rhode Island because he competed against them. And in this era of sort of glorified free agency, you can transfer within leagues anywhere around the country as long as there's a spot for you.
That is interesting.
You're nodding your head. You like that new rule?
So I'm all for guys being able to transfer. I have no issue with it at all. I know people complain about it. The in-conference one is interesting, though. I'm not as high on it. I do remember when I played, it was a 2-year penalty. So if you wanted to transfer,
2 years.
Yeah, it used to be within conference, and not every conference, because each conference can kind of dictate their own rules. And so I am glad the guys have the freedom to go. And the reality is, and no one talks about this, there are oftentimes the coaches want you to go. Like, you know, you bring a kid in and it doesn't necessarily work out. You don't necessarily want to be held to having to honor something that isn't mutually beneficial. So it's a slippery slope, no question. But I think overall it's created much more parity. I thought last year's tournament was indicative of that. We had a terrific March Madness, a Final Four where you didn't have a lot of one-and-done freshmen dominating the conversation. They were mature, experienced teams battling for the championship. And I think from a viewer's perspective, I found that to be far more appealing.
It's the new landscape of the sport. How quickly can teams meld and assimilate? For a good interior opportunity. Ice-T Sheree couldn't finish underneath some of that interior defense. Looking to push quickly down the floor. Basket hanging was It Sheree. And he's going to shoot free throws. The officials are going to get Sellers, who is irate.
He didn't like
That's
the
his
call.
3rd personal.
I really thought he got all ball there as well. But the officials thought otherwise. I tell you what, Kim English is thinking about challenging here. You see, that one really was a self-block, if you will. Another good job defensively, going vertical, able to come up with the steal was Alex Crawford.
First free throw rolls in. English also discussing with his assistants what they want to do here with Sellers. GA just picked up his 3rd personal. So they're going to sit him down here with still 16:59 left in regulation. Can't afford to lose him for a long time. Again, he's their #2 scorer at better than 15 per game.
And you saw the intensity on his face. I think anytime you see a guy that emotional, it's probably best to get him out, protect him from himself, especially with almost 17 minutes left to go in this game.
Especially when you got a guy like Jason Edwards waiting in the wings, their leading scorer. Powell has also checked in for English. Underneath Rune, the spin, beautifully done.
Rune just continues to make positive plays on both sides of the ball.
4 points for the sophomore from Nigeria. This is Hinton, steps back, splash.
And what a great read by him. Understanding that Rune is playing what's called a drop coverage in that pick and roll. And so he went away from it, and there was nobody there to contest on that triple.
5th 3 of the day for Hinton. Boy, beautiful backdoor cut. Powell, Mila from deep. Well short, and the Friars one and done. Every time you think the Friars are going to make a push, here come the Rams again. It's Corey.
And that is really poor defensive transition there. You have got to stop the ball. You cannot let a guy go 94 feet and shoot an uncontested layup.
Miles Corey, the double transfer, the graduate transfer, makes this a 1-point game, and everyone's going to catch their breath.
Yeah, the Rams continue to compete. They've had some struggles, but the great equalizer has been that 3-point shot.
There's your score. This has been fun, intense, as these two teams, these in-state rivals, continue to battle it out here in Providence. Well, Archie Miller, one of a handful of brother combinations that active coaches in the sport. Of course, his brother Sean taking over the reins down at Austin. Two of the most colorful, intense coaches that we've got in college basketball. Of course, Bobby and Dan garnering all the headlines. And what a season it's going to be in college basketball.
Oh, it is going to be amazing. And I mean, that's some pretty astute company right there. Some great combination. How about James Jones and what he's doing at Yale right now? That's a terrific job for the Ivy Leaguer.
Archie faced Yale.
Yeah.
Archie was singing their praises. Yale is going to be a team that a lot of people feel like is going to make noise out of the Ivy League this year. And one of the reasons why Rhode Island's net ranking is in the top 75 is because of that quad 1 win on the road at Yale, who, by the way, is number 30 in the first net rankings early part of the season. As all of these teams continue to get acclimated about 1 month into this new season. So Stefan Vox, young man from Estonia, we heard the report from Andy, talked about his recent experience playing professionally in that Latvia-Estonia domestic league. He also represented Estonia in the European Championships last summer. And talk about a freshman, you know, making the transition, new country, new culture, but that international experience is just so massive to help with the transition into the sport. Hinton carving them up. Inside, outside, every level.
Just a great wheel cut. And remember, a scouting report is going to just talk about Hinton's ability to shoot the three, so you're not necessarily expecting that kind of play.
Well, how quickly can Jason Edwards now get his game going? Greg, he's been quiet till this point. 4 points. I beg your pardon, 3 points, just 1 field goal so far for Edwards.
Yeah, you can see that's why you want to always keep your head open and explore all options no matter what set you're running. Really easy deuce there for Rhode Island.
Who do the Friars turn to here? Mila, boy, beautiful spin. But well short on the floater trip. Able to corral that loose ball. Jalen Harper, freshman out of Philadelphia, has checked into the game first time now for Archie Miller. This is Tripp on the wing. Archie calls him my 6th starter. Friars loomed so large early part of the season. Errant pass from Traore. And another Rams turnover.
They have just really had their struggles. Some of it credit to Providence. I think the amped up level of intensity and focus defensively on display as you see Sellers checks back into the game. But if you're Rhode Island, you got to figure out a way to take care of the basketball. You have to value it, particularly when you're on the road.
Powell on the attack. They reset to Edwards. Corey trying to stay in front of the dynamic scorer. Reset Fox. 10 to shoot. Aaron pass. Now both teams throwing it all over the gym. Another Friars turnover. Corey, and he loses it. Edwards on a push. Ahead of the pack, Sellers. Jones! Nasty!
Textbook transition opportunity off of that turnover there. Great kick ahead by Edwards, and Sellers with a beautiful delivery there for the alley-oop.
And those points off turnovers now looming large for Providence. 16 to 2. This is Traore, and he bangs it in from deep.
Rhode Island's kind of ready to wilt, to kind of calm everything down and reset the game.
This is Powell turned back. The official's going to get tripped. I believe they're going to put Powell at the free throw line, but what a big shot by Drisa Traore. Think of the roster takedown as we look at that last Friars transition sequence by Jones. He's been electric.
Yeah. And those are momentum plays, right? When you get the alley-oops, the slams, the putbacks, those plays not only energize the team, but they get the crowd ramped up.
You think of the expectations for Providence, this new roster overhaul by Kim English. Again, 4th in the preseason Big East poll. GA, you look at the first net rankings that came out this week. They are 115th. So there's urgency that Providence has to get their season kicked into high gear here. This is a game that they absolutely have to win.
You're exactly right, Bill. And in reality, the Big East seems to be a little down based on what we've seen thus far in the preseason. They have not shown well, and so games like this become invaluable.
Hinton, a rare miss from 3. Fight for it underneath. Tripp. Boy, he's going to get a timeout. Heady play by Jameer Tripp, the Fordham transfer, Brooklyn native. And Rhode Island will maintain possession when we come back to Providence on True TV. Monday nights on TNT, experience the Emmy-winning first season of the Max original hit series, The Pit. Back-to-back episodes, Mondays starting at 9 on TNT. As we welcome you back, 13-16 to play in regulation. We got a good one here, all tied at 53 as we check in with Andy Katz.
Yeah, there's no question the Big East has struggled in the non-conference, but all is not lost. It is still only early December. I mean, UConn has clearly established itself as a potential Final Four team. St. John's has underachieved to this point. A big game this afternoon at the Garden against Ole Miss. Marquette and Creighton, they've had injuries. And again, today, Marquette's at Wisconsin. Big game for them. Tomorrow, Creighton takes on Nebraska, undefeated Nebraska. Big rivalry game for them. But Butler and Seton Hall, keep an eye on those two schools. Butler hosts Boise today. Seton Hall's at K-State. They have overachieved to this point, and I would not sleep on Villanova and Georgetown to this point. Georgetown had good wins early, struggled last week, lost to Miami. They've got at Carolina tomorrow, and Villanova, we saw them on the opening night here on TNT, where they lost to BYU, but Kevin Willard's got a good group that they just haven't played elite competition yet, so don't sleep on the Wildcats just yet.
And Andy, again, your best point there, it's so early. Again, changing landscape, so many new pieces. Who knows what the conference is going to look like a month from now, even just weeks from now. And again, there's an opening after Connecticut and St. John's. Which of these teams can step into that 3-4 hole in the conference over the next couple of weeks? Sellers creates the space, couple of fakes, and hits. Just so talented. As he puts the Friars back in front, he's got 14.
And also always under control. That's the thing that I really appreciate from Sellers. He's never forcing anything.
Open look at a 3 from Traore. Tracked down in the wing, nicely done by Harper. As the freshman from Philly getting some run here from Archie Miller. R.J. Johnson running the point. Shot clock at 9, kicks it to Tripp, open 3. A little bit too strong, rebound Sellers. Edwards launches, back rim, rebound corralled by Harper. And boy, Edwards really quiet till this point.
Not shot it well. That's one of the concerns for Providence. You expect that instant offense from him, particularly in the new role.
But beautiful dive by Hinton with the quick close by Erunze. And then the officials are going to get Providence a reach-in foul underneath. Non-shooting against Sellers. Boy, that's the fourth personal against Jalen Sellers. Archie Miller, always the picture of intensity. 2-point game on True TV. Never too early for some adult beverages here in Providence. 2-point lead for the Friars as we take a little peek at our peak performance presented by Vanda Pharmaceuticals. GA, what do you got for us?
I'll tell you what, Jalen Sellers has been a difference maker. A 3-level scorer, able to knock down the triple. He can attack as well, but he's also a guy that can hurt you in the mid-range here. Great patience he's been able to show, leading the game right now for them. 8 rebounds, so him picking up that 4th foul, Spiro, this is going to be critical. How long, if you're Kim English, can you afford to leave him on the bench? And who replaces the dynamic he brings to the table?
Let me put you on the spot. How long can you keep him on the bench?
I think time and score will dictate it. If you're Kim English, right now it's a 1-possession game. You want to see if your guys can respond. We talked about Edwards. Can he find a way to get it going from an offensive standpoint? Box is kind of slowed down a little bit. They're going to need him to elevate. But also defensively, you've got to figure out a way to defend that 3-point line a little bit better. 11 made threes from Rhode Island here in this game.
And interestingly, you'd think he'd keep Edwards on the floor with Sellers going to the bench, but now Edwards is also going to sit. And that has maybe something to do with his struggles in this game. Edwards just 1 of 5 from the field. Hasn't been his game till this point. Shot clock at 5. Here's the curling dribble. Cochran into the teeth of that defense. Turned back. Up the floor, Jones, who picks up the scoring slack. Pulls up from 3. Splash! He has been magnificent.
And we talked about it. You know, a lot of times the guys who can make the biggest leap from game to game are your freshmen. That's why they're so inconsistent. But boy, how good has he been here as Rhode Island continues to have some struggles offensively.
Jameer Jones already eclipsing his season average. 9 points. He still hasn't missed. Erunze, point blank. And just like that, Providence pushes its lead to 7.
And now if you're Rhode Island, shot quality. Can we create good looks? Can our offense create offense? And that's something they've struggled at times. Give Providence credit. They've been really good defensively on the back line.
Danger zone, tough catch there by Ice. Tierchere, and another Rhode Island turnover.
Corey Floyd Jr. doing a great job defensively. But here, Jones, they just leave him open, not expecting him to pull the trigger. The young fella knocks down the triple. You see Sellers enjoying it with them. And then Erunze, who just makes good plays consistently. And him putting pressure on the rim, both sides of the floor, that creates spacing because you have to honor him down low. And then that means that defense has to collapse. And he's made some terrific reads with his playmaking out of that high post position.
Boy, impressive little run here. Without Sellers, without Edwards, their top 2 scorers. 8 straight points for the Friars. This is Vox, the freshman, dropping a dime to Jones. 10 straight for the Friars.
A little freshman on freshman crime right there with Jones and Vox hooking up for the alley-oop.
And the Providence Friars starting to flex with their offense. They have hit 5 of their last 6 as they have come alive. Now, boy, you started to wonder, where's this game going to go without their top 2 scorers? Edwards struggles, Sellers foul trouble. What a response by Kim English's bench.
Yeah, you don't have your top 2 scorers in the game, but in reality, you probably have your 2 most impactful players. When you think of Jones and Vox, yeah, they don't have the experience, but their ceiling, their upside, because of the plays they can make from an offensive standpoint with Vox, but really on both sides because of Jones's athleticism.
Meantime, if you're Archie Miller, GA, they've missed 6 straight shots. The Rams haven't scored in the last 3 minutes, 30 seconds. How to get your offense back in gear.
Yeah, you wonder if he comes back with Hinton, because Hinton's been the one guy that forces Providence to have to extend their defense and commit bodies to him with how he shot it. And a lot of times that can create opportunities for his teammates, because they have really struggled to get good looks here over this last 3-4 minutes. The shot quality's been really poor, the spacing, and now that they've pulled off from 3, they've got to figure out a way to get that equalizer back.
Andy, you were eavesdropping on that URI huddle.
Yeah, Archie Miller was stressing very emphatically that the Rams are playing timid. He also said, I think Greg would like this point, what happens on this end where I'm standing, which is the defensive end, affects what happens on the other end, the offensive end. You can't have good offense without good defense. He was really imploring them to get back to the way they were defending early.
Again, you just think to how deliberate they were in recruiting. The 2 elements that he looked for, speed and defense. They've locked in defensively at that end of the floor for stretches in this game. But this is a danger zone now for Archie's Rams. How do they respond here with this game reaching the midway point of the second half? Hinton back in. Is Archie wasting no more time? This is Tripp, so much talent. And you're going to get Powell here. But he's got to be careful. Powell complaining that there was a hook.
There was, but I think the officials are saying that the contact came before. As he goes there.
Boy, that was a hard hook. He's right. He's got an argument. And there was a high hook, GA. That went up over the shoulder area.
I tell you, that's one you might consider challenging. Clearly there was some contact up above the shoulders.
Rams inbound, Hinton and Crawford. Rams have made 1 basket in nearly 6 minutes. Curling dribble, R.J. Johnson into the corner. Tripp to the rack. Erunse got him. He has been the human eraser. Powell telling Kim English to challenge.
I think they're going to change the call, though.
But, gee, this is one where, you know it's going to be tightly contested. Do you want to hold that challenge? And now the officials change their mind all on their own, so they don't have to challenge. The basketball goes to the Friars.
Yeah, you can see that was clearly off of Rhode Island there.
Remember, one coach's challenge apiece. If you're successful, you maintain the challenge. But you only get one, so you have to be careful. 5th block, by the way, by Erunse in this game. Then bodies flying all over the place. Possession arrow will favor Rhode Island with 14 seconds to shoot and 9:24 left. I beg your pardon, Providence.
And this is a bit of a danger zone right now. If you're Rhode Island, they have got to figure out a way to get some stops.
Looks like Kim English is going to take a timeout here. And both of these 2 teams will catch their breath. 9 and change to play in regulation, with Providence taking a 9-point lead. College football's biggest stage returns, and the stakes could not be higher. The college football playoff kicks off on December the 19th and 20th with first-round coverage presented by Allstate. Packed house, better than 14,000 here in Providence, Rhode Island. The Ocean State rivalry that dates back over a century, all the way back to 1920. Hard to believe, as the officials here are going to say contact against Jonah Hinton, as Erunse was pushed. By the way, this is the 5th game for Erunse this season, GA. And we're a month into the year. 5th game that he's got, the 3rd game that he's got at least 5 blocks. Just incredible.
He is definitely a difference maker for this group. And it's not just his defense. That's been terrific, but he has really gotten more and more comfortable in terms of his impact offensively.
Box the freshman probing. Erunse, beautiful roll and contact.
And how many times have we seen Vox with that size and that willingness to pass the basketball? Great patience, allowed Erunse to get to a position where he could just catch and attack the rim, and then able to finish through contact here. as Providence now starting to impose their will on the Rams.
Again, from Nigeria, he's a sophomore, emigrated to the U.S. He played his high school ball at Putnam Science Academy in Connecticut. Last year was all Big East freshman. His listed weight was 235 pounds, but he's added about 15 pounds since last season. That's helped him with the physical nature of the conference. And boy, has he put it all together. Another Rhode Island turnover. Looks like an illegal pick. And GA, they just can't seem to take care of the basketball.
They have had some struggles, and a little bit surprising as well when you think about Rhode Island, a team with a ton of experience. Yeah, not necessarily collectively, but they've got a lot of guys who played a lot of college basketball in hostile environments, and they just seem to be a little disjointed here.
Mocked away, Vox trying to take it, trip to steal, up the floor. It's Itish. An emphatic finish, and that ends a 13-0 Providence run.
And boy, did they need that, Spiro, and it comes off the defense. They got some activity. You get a deflection, you win the loose ball battle, and you get that easy deuce to see if that gives you a little confidence here. It can start a spark.
First points for the Rams in 5 minutes. Boy, beautiful dive. And free throws coming up here for Corey Floyd Jr., the redshirt senior out of Franklin, New Jersey. This Providence, this streaky offensive team, going to earn a trip to the free throw line. It's on Itish. Another look at his finish.
Yeah, he is bouncy, but more importantly, you get out and you get your team in transition, and then just a strong attack. Itish there also picking up the foul clearly, putting Floyd at the line.
So Floyd Jr., 11 points in their last win against FDU on Tuesday. So far, career highs in points. Returns as a captain for Kim English, most experienced player on this roster. UConn transfer, redshirted there his freshman year in Stores. And what a piece he's been over the last couple of years here for the Friars.
He just is somebody you can trust. He's just a solid contributor. Doesn't make a lot of negative plays and really competes defensively.
There's Hinton, finds his spot. But they desperately need him to catch fire again. Up the floor, here comes Jones. Look out. Oh, one way. Just vicious.
I tell you what, Duncan Powell with a great kick ahead to create that opportunity to get the crowd into the game.
He is one of the high flyers in the country. Jameer Jones, what a day he's putting together for Providence. Hinton bottled up on the baseline. This is Traore. Double team, pivots up to the rim, and he's going to shoot free throws. Boy, working against one of the elite shot blockers in the country. Look at Jameer Jones.
Yeah, that's a way you can get the crowd off their feet, out of their seat. Providence started to make some hay here against their in-state rival.
Boy, just consider how dominant Providence has been in this building in non-conference games. Look at what they've done over the last 16 seasons, just 6 losses as they try to restore order here and win this in-state rivalry. GA, how about the last couple of minutes by this kid Jameer Jones? He has been all over the place today for Kim English.
He really has, and had such an impact with his athleticism. He knows how to be an athlete, looking to punish the rim. He runs the floor exceptionally well, and his teammates recognize that, and that energy and enthusiasm with which he has played has really been a tremendous spark here for the Friars.
So Providence has hit its last 5 shots. It's a 16-2 run over the last 6:06. As we'll get free throws here from Drisa Traore, New York City native, St. John's transfer. It's a big moment here with Rhode Island staggered back onto the ropes. And as you said during that stoppage, they just seem to be having these struggles, these long stretches where they can't score.
Yeah, they are disjointed. They don't really have anybody that can consistently break down or compromise a defense you get them in rotation. Now, a lot of times, that's how you create good looks. And that crowd here real happy as they just won a prize because the young fella missed both free throws. If you're Rhode Island right now, you've got to get some stops and try to get out in transition. Get something easy to get yourself back in this game.
Do they get a prize with 2 missed free throws?
I'm sure they get
some kind of free food.
Some food. It's got to be
very
food.
Excited. Vox had it stripped. Up the floor comes Corey. Full head of steam, and he's headed to the free throw line. Massive play by Miles Corey. And he can cut this thing to 10 with 7:04 left.
I tell you what, that was a really heads-up play here. You see how he initiates the contact, shows the ball, and takes it away, and then the young fella flexes on him. And that's going up against Jameer Jones, best athlete on this Providence team. And what a huge opportunity if he can convert here on this three-point play.
First year at URI for Corey. Proven scorer. Southern Alabama last year started 31 games and nearly 14 points per game. He was all Sun Belt Conference player. Edwards, boy, can he ignite? Again, one of the top scorers in the conference, second in the Big East, in fact. But only his 5th point today.
He hasn't really found his rhythm, which is even more impressive when you think about what Providence has been able to do.
Hinton, the official's going to get a reach in. I believe it's going to be Edwards here, with Hinton knocked to the floor. That'll put Providence over the limit. 7th, make it 8th team foul. So bonus 1-and-1 for the Rams. And a big free throw coming up here for Jonah Hinton.
Notice they haven't really been able to get Hinton a lot of open looks here in the second half. He's the one guy that if you're Providence, you have got to be leery of in terms of his ability to shoot the three.
But they're leaving some critical points at the free throw line. Rhode Island now just 7 of 13 from the stripe in this game. Edwards lets it fly. Offensive rebound at Runsay, and he's going to shoot free throws.
And part of the issue for Archie Miller and his group is, you know, as the game goes, that size and athleticism just starts to wear you down. And you can see they're just physically a little overmatched in dealing with the size and athleticism of Providence.
Archer talking it over with his assistants. Great staff. But can they find some answers here with Oswin Arunse? Last year, quickly put his imprint on the conference as one of the elite offensive rebounders in the Big East. And boy, was he at the top of the scouting report today for Archie Miller and these Rhode Island Rams. 1 of 2 at the line. 13-point Friars lead.
Still a lot of time. 6 minutes 20 seconds if you're Rhode Island. Can you figure out a way to create some easy offense? They have really had to work on every possession to score.
Traore, errant 3. Here comes Sellers playing with 4. Powell to skip. Floyd a little bit short, and Providence comes up empty. Here comes Tripp underneath Traore. A little bit of contact, and they're going to reset to Hinton. Hinton Euro step, beautiful pass. It's Tripp.
That was a terrific find by Hinton on the attack, understanding that Arunze was there looking to reject anything. Held it to the last second to create that opportunity for the Deuce.
So that'll cut it to 11. Here's Powell, catch and shoot 3, and he hits.
They are thrilled to have him back. He gives them some toughness, great decision making.
Again, first game for Powell since the 14th of November. Injured in practice, concussion. Extensive time in the protocol, but he is finally back wearing that mask on his face. As the officials say, stay here. Last touch by the Friars. And Powell's going to sit here with Jameer Jones back in. 5:08 left. And the Rams are going to have 14 seconds to shoot.
And if you're Kim English, as you see Powell going to the sidelines, you're thrilled with the intensity and the consistency defensively. They've been really good. And granted, Rhode Island had stretches where they made a lot of threes, but those are shots you were willing to live with. They were able to impact the game defensively in those other areas. I tell you what, Jones just continues to grow as a player. He is so athletic, plays with such great speed. What a great fit here with Providence.
I'm not sure how much longer Kim English can be able to keep him with his second unit. Hasn't started yet. He's been the linchpin of their reserve unit. As he has helped spur this 14-point lead now as we cross the 5-minute mark left in regulation. And Jameer Jones, who has drawn comparisons to former Friar star and MVAer Ryan Gomes, who, by the way, is now an assistant on Kim's staff. 40 amateur dunkers, 6 episodes, 1 shot at 200K, and the title of Dunkman. The new series delivers a fresh format, next level dunks you won't want to miss. Dunkman continues Thursday, 7 Eastern, TNT, True TV, and HBO Max. As Tripp misses a transition 3, and the officials say loose ball foul here against the Friars.
Well, you gave some high praise when you compared Jameer Jones to Ryan Gomes.
Gomes is a player.
Gomes was a terrific player. Not necessarily the athlete that Jones is, but boy, was he polished and such a good all-around player, and doing a great job here tutoring the young man. Got a chance to talk with my main man before the game.
Andy, what do you got?
Kim English has done a great job of connecting with the previous Friars. Obviously, you know, there is no original connection with Ryan Gomes, but bringing a former Friar back to the fold, that's critical. Remember, Kim English very tight with Rick Barnes, so it was a natural. Rick Barnes, very successful coach here in Providence. He loved his time with the Friars. He's got Dennis Felton on the bench, who's had some history here. So really, that was important for Kim to find those connections with the Providence alums and former players.
Yeah, Gomes has had a huge impact on this team, and that staff really feeling the urgency to get the season going. Jason Edwards with a deep shot. And right there, the young man shows the offensive brilliance that they have been waiting for. And that is a killer shot, with the Rams again staggering.
Yeah, and listen, it can be humbling at times when you're the leading scorer and a starter to be asked to come off the bench, but the young man has handled it well, and he is still electric offensively.
Providence has hit 8 of their last 10, 7 unanswered points.
And it's a tough one. It's a tough call.
I'm gonna go.
I might go Spiro, but I'm gonna go Spinaco with you.
I think I'm number 3 behind those guys. By the way, that game will start on HLN, and then it'll come on over to True TV as soon as this one ends. And we will be watching with JB, Jim, and Jared on the call. So 3:57 left in regulation. This was a tightly contested game, 1-possession game at halftime, but Providence in little spurts. GA showing you just how lethal that they can be.
And they did it with their defense, which I think is even more impressive for a team that has just struggled mightily all season on that side of the ball. Today was really a bit of a signature of who they can be from a defensive standpoint.
Jason Edwards starting to catch fire. And this thing is ballooned to a 20-point Friars lead. This was a 41-37 Providence lead at halftime, but they have outscored them 39-23 since, make it 39-25. As they get some interior scoring, Jameer Tripp builds on his numbers.
If you're Rhode Island and Archie Miller, we got to figure out a way to be just more solid with the basketball. All the turnovers, the live ball turnovers that allow Providence to get out in transition, really the difference in this game.
Floyd Jr. and everyone is hot. Again, we told you about the offensive prowess for Providence. Number 2 scoring team in the Big East as Hinton drills a 3. Better than 90 points per game for Kim English's bunch. And boy, did they put it together. Both ends, their defense rising to the level here in the second half.
And that's what Coach English talks about, the balance. You know, when you want to run and play fast, that's great, but you've got to still be able to impact the game defensively. And that's where they had been struggling. Today, it looks like they put it all together. Been very good offensively, but even more so on the defensive side of the floor.
Kim English, 3rd season here for the 37-year-old head coach. Remember those 2 years at George Mason? It's a 22-23 campaign. The Patriots matching the school records for conference wins in the A-10. They're trying to get this thing to the next level here in Providence as Jameer Jones extends to a 19-point lead.
And you talked about it last year, derailed by injury, right? They just had about as bad a luck as you could have from an injury standpoint. Forced them to have to kind of reassess, completely revamp the roster. They've had a tough stretch schedule-wise and haven't won a lot of those games, but this will work well for them. Will be considered a quad one win because of how good Rhode Island's played this year, and they're still going to have a lot of opportunities. As even though the Big East is considered to be down, I feel like there's still some really good teams in that league, and they will account themselves well in conference play.
Edwards, and suddenly he's carving him up from deep. Yeah, Providence's best win till this point, a quad 2 win against Penn State in the Basketball Hall of Fame showcase at a Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, as Jameer Tripp dials one up from deep. But no doubt Providence, as they get into the nitty-gritty of their schedule, going to have to continue to take this thing into high gear as they try to make their push in the Big East. As Edwards coughs it up.
And I tell you, they got everything in terms of roster. They've got some size. They've got great rim protection. You know they can shoot it as Hennon knocks down another triple. The question was, can they raise their level defensively? And they're starting to show signs. The roster change in terms of the lineup has been impactful. Those young freshmen continue to show that they have so much more to grow. The potential's there. So you're a Providence Friars fan. I feel like this group's going to have a chance to get to another level.
Hinton turned back. Sellers, just electrifying defense. Edwards the spin, the floater, in and out, and a stick back by Jones. So Rhode Island's long drought in this city will continue. Tripp the miss. Fight for the loose change. Jones still diving all over the place. Look at the effort. Boy, Edwards took a shot inadvertently from Cochran. And he's going to try to shake it off with 38.8 left.
Yeah, but you love the effort. A 20-point game, and you're diving on the floor defensively by Providence. And I love the fact that he doesn't give up on the play. You see here him able to knock down that triple, and then off that Sellers turnover, he didn't give up on the play, right? You make a mistake, you don't compound it by not getting back defensively. Makes the electrifying block there. Archie Miller disappointed, but I think he's also going to acknowledge that this Providence team is the one most thought we would see when the season started. They are starting to figure it out here.
Another reminder that Boise State Butler game starting right now on HLN. You can hop on over to catch the start. And we'll be bringing it over here to True TV in just a couple of minutes. So 20 seconds. Rhode Island's losing streak in Providence will continue. It's been 23 years since they won in this building. As Providence just way too much down the stretch. They turn a 4-point halftime lead into a 19-point win in this in-state rivalry between these two heated foes. 90-71, your final in Providence. After the break, we'll get you to J.B. Long, Jim Spanarkel, Jared Greenberg for Boise State and Butler. Now for GA, Andy Katz, our producer Jeff Randolph, Mike Roth, our director, rest of our True TV crew, Spiro Dina saying so long from Providence. Friars win it over the Rams on True TV.